How's it going, everyone? This is Paul Garcia from analyzingtheleague.com. This is a quick video to kind of show you how to use some of these restart guides that I've created for the NBA restart season in late July in Orlando, Florida. So I've just picked a random team here. I picked the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's just it's going to give you just a quick kind of bring you just a quick way of using these guides. When either you could do it right now, or I think that they're a little bit more valuable like when the team that you cheer for is going to play that specific team. So it's kind of just going to give you a quick kind of recap of where they were at the pause of the season, but also kind of like who are the main players that do things on offense, and then what were some of their defensive numbers. So again, what I have here at the top first is it basically tells you who's missing from the team for the restart, and then who has been added. So a lot of players were signed with substitute contracts. So as you can see here with the Thunder, they will be missing Isaiah Roby, according to their latest information on their team site, and then Devin Hall is signed for the restart. This is just an advertiser video, so I'll just pause that. It's a little distracting. Okay, so the first section starts off with offense for every team, and it kind of gives you their offensive rating. So as we see at the pause of the season, the Thunder were 14th, scoring 111 points per 100 possessions. Next, we look at offensive rebound percentage. They are not a great team of getting extra possessions, basically 29, so 23.9% of their misses that they grab. And then turnover percentage, they are a really good team of ball security. So they're sixth there, 13.5%. As far as fast break points, they're a very slow team. They don't get out on the break. You know, they're very half court oriented. So they're 30th. They're actually last. They only score 9.3 points. Next, we go to shooting on offense. And the way I do this is I take a look at where does your team take the most percentage of their shots from, and then all the way down to the area of the least percentage. So as we can see here, the majority of Thunder shots come from three-point distance. 34% of their team shots come from there. And they score as a team. They shoot whenever they shoot threes, their average points per shot is 1.07. So as I've said before, as you can see in the write up above, your goal is to get at least over a point per shot that you're taking. So that's always the goal there. If you actually want more information on what the actual percentage of team shots and the points per shot means relative to all the teams participating in this restart, I actually have a chart here. It's called the full database. So if you click that link, it'll take you to all the numbers for all 22 teams. And then I'm going to create there's going to be a video as well that you can watch to learn how to use that data as well and apply it. So that's kind of what that means. Next, we have each team's top 5 shot takers from the specific areas on the floor. So as we can tell, we're talking about threes here. So 3-point shots, we have 1 through 5 from Gallinari to Schroeder, Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Terrence Ferguson. So as you notice, all the players do have their points per shot available. So, you see the first 4 players. Now, if you notice, Terrence Ferguson doesn't. And the reason why is because he is shooting below 33% from 3 so far this year. So that means that he's actually struggling from 3. Every time he takes a 3 on average, he's not getting a point per shot on his 3. So that's a struggling shot for him, even though he is one of their top 5 shot takers from that space. Next, we go to the next area where the Thunder like to score from or shoot from, should I say, shot attempts. 30% of their shots come from the restricted area. So this is the area just right in the paint, pretty much within the charge circle. It's the closest area to the basket. And then, they as a team score 1.30 points per shot as a team whenever they take attempts in there. Now, here the Thunder have 6 players. It's usually 5, but only because 2 of their players do have they're tied in shot attempts from this area, and that's Gallinari and Diallo here. And I didn't provide the points per shot here because most NBA players shoot over 50% of the paint. Right near the rim. It's an easy shot. It's basically a layup or a dunk for most players. So it's very rare that you find players who don't shoot over 50%. So just know that all 6 of these players here they shoot over 50% when they get into the restricted area there in the paint. So that's why it's not indicated. If any team page has a player who actually has a number there, it means that they struggle whenever they get into the paint and right next to the rim. Next, we know that, if you're getting to the rim, you're most likely going to get fouled. So what we do here is we go straight to the foul line. So now we look here and we're looking at free throw rate as a team. We can tell that the Thunder get there a lot. They're 3rd in the NBA, 29.2% free throw rate. And then again, we have their top 5 foul shooters. And just like the restricted area, I put the attempts. So as we can see here, the top 5 players. I didn't put the points per shot again, because as long as everyone's shooting over 50%. So as we can see here, these top 5 players are shooting over 50%. When it comes to the free throw line, though, there are players who do struggle to shoot 50%. So sometimes that's needed, especially for a lot of big guys, big men. They struggle there at that area. So sometimes you'll see a number there where why they're struggling there from that area. Next, we have the non-restricted area, which is typically like the floater range. So it's that area outside of the charge circle, but up to the mid-range line within the paint. So it has to be inside the paint. So we can tell here, this is the third shot that Thunder use the most. So it's 19% of their shots come from here. This is a hard shot to make for pretty much all players. So for the majority of players. And so as a team too, they only score 0.81 points per shot. So this is not a very efficient shot. It's a very low value shot. You don't want your team taking a lot of these shots. They're not good shots. And so as we can see here, the Thunder have their, their numbers. And so this is a little bit of the opposite now. So as we see here, Gilgeous-Alexander, 249, Steven Adams, 165, Schroeder, 146, Gallinari, 72. What we're saying here is that all these 4 players, they all shoot below 50% from this area, because it's a hard shot to make. Now, the one player who is actually really good at this shot is Chris Paul. He's getting at least, he's shooting over 50%, so he's getting 1.01 points per shot. So out of any player here that you want taking that shot, it's going to be Chris Paul right now, because he's making it from that area. And then the last area where the Thunder take their shots from is the mid-range. So we call this the non-paint 2. I got that actually from Billy Donovan, their head coach. He used to say that in a lot of interviews. So 16% of their team shots come from the mid-range. Again, it's not a high-value shot. It's a very low-value shot. So they actually shoot it well as a team, 0.95 points per shot as a team. But it's still not a good shot, because you're not even getting a point every time you take it. Now, the same thing, just like the non-restricted area, where I'm only highlighting players who actually shoot over 50%. So as in this case here, all the players, when they take mid-range shots with the Thunder, these top 5 players, they do struggle with it. They don't get over 50% of their shots. However, Chris Paul does. He's actually one of the best in the league at the mid-range. So he scores 1.08 points per shot every time he takes it. So again, that's how the shots break down. If you are seeing the shots. And again, if you want more information on that, I do recommend you click on the full database here, and then watch that explainer video if you need help understanding what a lot of that data means. So now let's go over to the next parts of this page, which is the defense. Okay, so now there's basically 2 areas that I highlight. So first, let's just look at some of the overall defensive numbers. Okay, so we know that the Thunder are a top 10 defense. They were 9th at the pause of the season, holding teams to 108.4 points per 100. And then here we have some other, basic stats for them. So opponent free throw rate just means, how good are you at limiting opponents from getting to the free throw line? The Thunder are very good. They're actually the best in the league. They're first at opponent free throw rate of 20.6%. They're slightly below league average in terms of keeping opponents from getting second chances. So as we can see, opponent offensive rebound percentage, 27.2%. So again, it's 19th, not great, but also, just slightly worse than the league average. And then as we know, since I mentioned earlier, they're a very slow-paced team. We end up seeing that on the opposite end on defense. They're actually very good at limiting transition opportunities for the opponent, because, again, they are forcing their style in this game where it's a slower type of half-court approach. So teams can't get out and run against the Thunder. They're first in the league. They're only allowed 10.5 points per game in fast break opportunities. So again, that's part of the defense, why they're top 10. And then we look at where do opponents shoot from against the defense. So again, we start again from the most area where teams get the shots from, all the way to the least amount of area. So 30% of opponent shots come from 3. They shoot 1.03 points per shot. 31% come from the restricted area, which is that area again right near the basket. They score 1.25 points per shot. And then 18% of shots come from the non-restricted area, 0.84 points per shot, which is, of course, that's a low value shot. So most teams aren't going to shoot well from there. And then 14% of teams shoot shots come from the mid-range at 0.84 points per shot. So again, that's just a quick overview of how to use these guides. Again, you can kind of just get a quick a snapshot of where the teams were and their kind of style of the play that they have. And like I mentioned, watch the video about the full database, because it really shows you how to look at the numbers, and it kind of looks at how all the teams are basically differentiated there with that data. So who's doing well, who's not doing well. So again, for Analyzing League, I'm Paul Garcia. Thanks.